Jazz on. Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments and questions. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
We've got an issue with some plugins, so it might be a little bit noisier than normal as well, so a little TPS disclaimer. Comes the lovely Catherine with our drinks.
Hello everyone.
Hello everyone, how are you all? Hope you're all fantastic.
Don't let us know if it sounds rubbish. Just let us know if you can hear it. We've got, as Dan suggested, we've got some plug-in trouble that we're just trying to sort out. So there's no noise reduction.
Trouble.
There we are.
Thank
you.
Okay.
Plug in trouble.
But we'll persist and see how we get on. Welcome to viewers' comments and questions. It is Monday, therefore we are here. Actually, to be fair, we're not here every Monday, but we are here today.
Yeah. So last week, the show with the incredible, amazing Mr. Tim Lurch. And it's been really interesting because so we get a when you release a show on YouTube, you get a notification of how well it's going. And the show went out, and I thought it was great. You know, it was doing fine, it was doing okay. But then as people started watching it and started engaging with it, it started getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And because it was such a wonderful thing, and Tim was such a wonderful teacher, such a calming presence. And it's just so enjoyable, and so many golden moments in that show.
Yeah, the comments were reflected that in a big way, didn't they?
Yeah, it's just wonderful.
Just how much people really loved it, and for good reason. It was insightful, and it was of high quality. It was very nice.
Indeed.
So thank you to Tim for doing that. Sometimes Tim joins us on a Monday. If you're here, Tim, hello. If you join us later, hello. And yeah, thanks again. And thanks for everyone for leaving comments about how much they enjoyed it and how insightful it was.
Yeah, it's really, really great. Really great.
Groovy, yeah. Sorry, I'm just catching up here after having fun.
Paul Cameron says, hello from Paris.
Hello.
Hello.
À Paris.
Mark Spurgeon says, Anchorage. Where's Anchorage?
Literally no idea. Must be in America somewhere.
Okay. Tim Chalmers, greeting from the Forest Grove, Oregon. I've got to get to Oregon. Tim B, that Tim Lurch show was awesome. I learnt so much. Yes, mate. We all did. That's great.
We have turned the super chats off already. There's quite a lot in even before we got going. So the super chats are off. So we shall do our best to get through them all.
Wonderful. We've got people from Alaska. How have we got?
No way.
Oh, sorry. Anchorage is in Alaska. Right, there you go. Wow. Awesome.
So I saw truckers all over again, Dan.
And with all that dramatic music in the background.
Yeah.
Will he make it across the ice? Did it? Turns out he made it across the ice. Did it? Tim Court, bonjour from Devon. Bonjour, dear sir. Bonjour.
From where? Devon?
Devon.
Ah, Devon.
Bonjour from the Devon. La Piscine. Camembert. Bonjour. Ranzer, g'day mate.
Hello, Ran. Nice to hear from you, buddy.
Reeves Electro. Marcus Reeves.
Hello,
in the
Marcus.
chat.
I just sent Marcus a text to apologise profusely for not being in touch.
I must say, Marcus, I've been watching your little clips on Insta and that, and whatever you're doing with your filming and stuff, keep it up because it looks fantastic.
It's one of those flashy Android phones with 100 billion pixels
Oh, is
in
it?
it. Yeah.
Okay. It looks great, mate.
It
looks
does
really
look good.
good.
It's very nice depth of field you've got going on there, Marcus, because we care about these things.
Tom Frank says, Dan, buddy, just let us know that VCQ is just testing out a new lo-fi live stream plugin.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the warmth and no noise reduction provides.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a new analog. Yeah, we don't. It's interesting. We don't use any plugins whatsoever on the
guitars.
on the guitars, but on the voices we use quite a lot. Certainly in a live situation. Post you can fix stuff, but when it's live you have to do it all live, and there's only certain plugins that will work. Anyway, Steve, I'm boring myself.
Everyone's saying it sounds good.
Good.
Yeah, that's great. Thank
Nice.
you, people. And the people. And the people.
Happy Victoria Day from the smoky Winnipeg, Manitoba, says Dustin Thiessen.
Oh, lovely.
Hi, Dustin, and hi to Winnipeg, the Peg. Howdy from Oregon, down in Mick and BV, says the Feel button. South Florida, Doc New is on. Hello, Doc. Bessonov Alexander is on from Ukraine. Hello, Bessonov.
G'day, mate. Suomi in Finland. Awesome.
Paul Camus says, I regret the mocking of the French accent. It's a great name, Camus. A very, very important philosopher was Albert Camus. Yeah, anyway.
Whit Anderson is asking, has Super Chat moved? No, mate, we've turned it off.
Turned it off, I'm afraid. It was already full. Like a small petrol tank in a big car.
Very good. Very good.
Don't know where that came from. Ryan Leonard Retuta. What's the best amp for clean tone? Playing rhythm funk. Dumble Steel String Singer.
There you go. Failing that, Fender Twin.
Yeah.
Fender Pro Reverb is more than appropriate for lots of stuff. Now, because I used one of those for years, and it's like a 40-watt twin. And they can sound amazing. Very clean, loads of headroom. Roy Buchanan used to play through one.
Sometimes lead on its face.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything from the Fender Black Panel series, deluxe reverb up, depending on how loud you play. But the more watts, the better, really.
Yeah.
And something that's going to do a nice clean sound. Hot Rod Deluxe, be fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Be great.
Nice and loud, nice and punchy, good mid-range presence. And of course, we are going to do a show on this. Dan's very keen to do a funk show. It's a bit like saying what's best for playing blues. It spans such a vast array of sounds.
It really does.
You know, one person might think of funk as straight up meters. Other people might think of it as that weird thing that it's become now, kind of sped up, super
compressy.
Yeah. Feels like it's on fast forward and ADHD.
Yeah, when you go back and have a look at the history of it all, and what was going on in the mid 60s and the 70s when it was massive. I mean, Parliament, man. Tower of Power. There's just astonishing. I put on What Is Hip by Tower of Power. We're going in the car with my daughter and she's playing some tunes. And I went, have a listen to this, and put on What Is Hip. And she finished. She just went, that might be the best song I've ever heard in my life. So there was so much incredible funk stuff, and I think it's worthwhile going back and having a look and looking at what these guitar players are doing with these funk sounds, because they were using everything, and getting these amazing sounds. And
but we would think of a good solid transient, wouldn't we? So not too much distortion or overdrive so it squashes.
Yeah.
And then a compressor can help you with that, or it can hurt. So, but yeah, I mean, pretty much any classic guitar and any clean amp.
Yeah. Yeah.
And play with your in-between positions and your middle positions.
Yep. Very good.
Good luck.
Experiment with your pick as well, because a lot of those guys are doing the really choppy rhythm, use a lot thinner pick than you think. But anyway, have fun. Pedalboard of the Day says, hi everyone. Hi, Pedalboard of the Day.
Hi.
Lots of people chiming in to say they've seen the Brothers Landreth recently. Yeah.
They
Just
seem
so
to
wonderful.
be flowing very nicely at the moment. Do the Brothers Landreth? They found a groove that's jolly hip, man.
Yeah.
Right, before we get into the super chats, AJT says, stupid question from across the pond. I get a kick out of mixed friends. Go on ye then. Is that a common phrase or is it a Mickism? Go on
Go
you
on
then.
you then.
I think what I say is Gagny,
Gagny.
or a Gagny is a bastardization of something from the north east of England, from like Newcastle, Northumberland, Geordieland. And it could even be Scottish, I guess.
Gagny.
To go.
Right.
What else do I say? Go on then. Oh, go. I don't think I say go you.
I'll go you.
Yeah, and it's a bad colloquialism, not least an appropriation, given that I'm not even from there. So, yeah, maybe someone would like to cancel me for it.
Chris Quinn says Tower of Power's guitar player Bruce Conti was a gold top legend. Yeah, so Bruce is, for me, one of the best, and loads of incredible examples of him playing in Tower of Power. But this, like, it's just a great example of that. You know, someone playing a Les Paul, and his funk tone was absolutely astonishing. So it all comes down to where you're getting your compression from, and you can get your compression from humbuckers or the amp turned up a little bit. You know,
Or you pick attack.
all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Incidentally, after the show, Tim has done a first gain stage hand T-shirt. So
Yeah, it's really good.
Plexico, Duncan, hello mate.
Good day, mate.
First in with the super chats this week. We'll try and rattle through them because we've got quite a lot. He says, hi D&M. Tim Lurch is the guitar palette cleanser. His style and playing, all at sub 70 dB, is a joy to listen to, only accompanied by his relaxing voice. Great show. Thank you. It was great. It was a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got Tim just spoke into my phone, and he just says, "It's all going to be okay, Dan. It's all going to be okay." And I just have that on loop now. It's just really beautiful guy. So knowledgeable. It's really interesting. There are people who are really knowledgeable, but struggle to teach. Tim is a natural teacher.
Natural teacher, yeah.
And when you get that combination, it's a powerful thing.
Harrison Vaughan is on. Harrison, hello mate, how are you? He says, hi guys, I'm going back to C standard. When we first met Harrison, he came to an experience day and he had a Strat tuned down to C standard and played some lovely stuff.
Yeah, really beautiful.
He then since went to normal tuning and is now going back to C standard, hence the comment. What's the best way to handle the low end in a smaller, more sensible mono bedroom rig? I'm using the Iverson, so he's obviously got a new guitar, an Iverson. We pondered on this last week, didn't we?
Yes.
Which is much more bass heavy than the Strat. Thank you.
See, I think you would probably have this issue regardless if you were in E or C. You know, maybe a little bit less in E and might be a bit more noticeable, but that, you know, you're not talking, you're talking a major third lower. So it's not ridiculous. If what you're getting with the new guitar tune to this is sub stuff and it's messing things up. I mean, I don't know what the EQ is in on your amplifier, but you know, if you've got a bass control, just notch it down a little bit, or an EQ pedal. That can be really handy. But I think if you're going down to C standard, and this is going to be a relatively consistent thing for you, you want to switch between the Strat and the Iverson, and if you find the Iverson really bassy at that frequency, it might be that you need to kick on an EQ that just tightens up that bottom end, or stick it through a tube screamer.
Yeah, so there's that way. manipulate the EQ either in the amp or with your pedals, or there's some physical things you can do as well. Get the amp off the floor, stick it on a little stand, that'll help with low end, and move it away from a back wall. And if it's in a corner, move it out of the corner or away from the back wall, raise it up on a little metal stand or something, and that will significantly reduce that low end. Might be the way, if it's an open back amp, it might be coupling, you know, with the environment. So the short story is investigate moving the amp around a little bit, but certainly get it off the floor and certainly get it away from a back wall. That's all true with hi-fi speakers and monitor speakers as well. It will change the bass response. And then as Dan says, you can manipulate with graphic EQs, and it's a shame to cut too much of it out though, especially for solo playing, because it's lovely to have that great big enveloping bottom end. But Dan's certainly got it where he's got a couple of guitars where the low end, he just, no matter what he does, the guitar isn't balanced for him, for his personal taste. Perhaps more prosaically, drop the pickups down on the bass string side. That will certainly help. So, you know, like you would on a Strat, they're more up towards the treble side. That could help. Yeah, try all those things, Harrison, see if that makes a difference.
Joshua Alanis says, Dan, why do you choose to say a major third down as opposed to saying 2 whole steps down? It's because it's just the interval, E to C. There's 2 whole steps, which is a major third.
There you are.
Yeah. Instead, if it was E to D double flat, then it'd be different. But yeah, it's a major third. There you go.
Hi guys. Oh, that was Harrison. Hefe Golf, the boss of golf, says, no questions today. Shine on, you crazy diamonds. We will. Nate Cresser, or Crease, or Cresser. Nate. Hello, Nate. He says, I saw Crowded House last week. In your Rig Tour video, Marcus says the EHX Freeze pedal makes Neil sound like 3 guitarists. Insights into Neil's technique on which song would be a good example. So did he use it? Should have been pretty obvious if he was using it.
Yeah. And the way that he used it is very much improvised in the moment. There'll be... There's moments when he does his thing and he's pretty free with it. And yeah, he'll kick it on when the mood takes him, but it's not something that he does on a recording as such. It's something that he just likes to have fun with. And they do seem to be having a lot of fun now. It's really nice.
Really nice. Really in a groove, aren't they? Yeah, sorry we don't know a specific song. Should be, if you watch him intently enough, should be pretty obvious when he's using it, because his guitar will carry on and he will be playing something different.
Yeah.
Michael Giliberto. Hi, Michael.
Hello, Michael.
He says, what a great offering of musical knowledge from Mr. Lurch. A wonderful video, human being, brilliant episode. Thank you for having him on D&M.
Yeah. It was an honour.
Yeah.
It's just so great.
It is great. I think we've Dan already knew Tim a bit. I hadn't met him before. It was a lovely happening.
Yeah.
I love that.
If
TPS could be that every week, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there weren't any pedals, but I think that spirit of shared knowledge and inspiration is what it's all about.
Yeah.
What's the best tube screamer?
Yeah, totally.
At this point. Thank you, Michael. I see everything twice, or indeed see everything twice. Leg ends. I'm getting back to guitar after time away focusing on education. Should have listened to Pink Floyd. See, there's a nice funk tone. I'm trying wet dry, but my delay and reverb aren't AD through. Aren't analog dry through. Recommendations for a do-it-all delay and reverb set. It's this. We have one recommendation.
One recommendation. Buy it. Thank us later.
Yeah. I'm going to improve this. A bit more light.
I thought you were going to do the...
Oh, Dan thought I was going to get all disco.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Let's get disco. Give us some disco music.
Okay.
we discovered the ring light does RGB.
So good.
Anyway, the suggestion is the Source Audio Collider delay and reverb. It's 2-in-1. It's got a brilliant user interface. It is analog drive-through, and it sounds fantastic. And we really like that in a big way. So just get that.
Yep, definitely.
I'm sure there are others, but we really like that.
Yep.
And we use it all the time.
Yep.
So to save any hassle. Good luck. Jim B. Hello, Jim. 1. Inspiration for creating music should be creation itself. I like it. Many of us are suffering from gas, which is a driving force into believing that a piece of gear will help produce a better product. I agree. Actually, this is Matej Hahn, not Jim B. This is Matej Hahn. We'll come back to Jim B. Matej Hahn. So yeah, the inspiration should be creation, not gas. Okay. And 2, in most cases, we're only searching for shortcuts. Creativity doesn't appear out of thin air. It's a reaction to an event, and an event needs to be triggered. Creativity requires focus and hard work. Partially agree.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it requires a free mind, is what it requires, which may be focus, but it's certainly not always hard work.
No.
When creativity flows, it can just flow, and it's the easiest work ever.
Yeah.
I know my best creative work I ever do is
Easy and flowing.
flow, is easy.
What was Noel saying? All the big hits took him minutes to write. Just flowed, just comes out.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. Tim, I played this on an Instagram clip last week, and I played it. Choose a guitar that's got a bit of volume. Whatever, play this one. Tim came in and he played this chord. Which is whatever it is. Hopefully you can hear that. And I went, okay. And I just started playing. I just put my fingers on the fretboard. I went home. Catherine was out. I sat there with the dog and I put my fingers on the fretboard. And within 1 hour, I'd got here.
Oh, I remember you played this last week. It's beautiful.
Oh. Oh. But I did it because he'd said, don't move more than three frets. So this move, as I worked out, it took me about 40 minutes to work out I was in E. Because it all resolved to E. And I didn't know where the melody was coming from. But, so, the first 2 chords are 4 and 5, right? A, and then B. Instead of going to this B, I went here. And I've never played that B in my life.
Oh, wow.
And then I just don't know what's happening now.
You're at 2, 3, 4, yeah. 4 minor. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's totally chromatic, right? There's no complex harmony in there.
Yeah.
But I've never ever played anything like that before in my life. And I did.
But you heard a sound and it led you...
I heard one chord, and it led me all the way through that melody.
That's beautiful.
And it's just it's an example of sometimes it's not hard work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just let your fingers go where they're going to go. And it was Tim saying that if you keep the economy of movement for the chords, so don't move more than 2 frets for your next chord, and try and find a melody on the top string.
Because he said that thing. He says, yeah, you can get all that stuff, but he says, the notes are all here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man.
And then he played
they
like
are.
19 chords.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mate. I think it's Mate or Matej for that insight. And certainly on the wider point of, creativity. But sometimes gas is good, right? Sometimes you need a bit of gas.
Yeah.
There are no rules.
No.
No rules.
We're doing a thing at the moment with this complicated pedal thing. And I was working on it yesterday and just going through some presets and just having a play and just letting them, a preset that someone else has created that you don't know what's coming at all, just playing a chord and saying, oh, okay, this is cool. And then 2 hours later, just taken away. So sometimes it's nice. Sometimes a piece of gear can send you in a new direction. Yeah.
Totally.
It all works.
100%.
Hope you like our new direction.
No, he wrote this. Hello from sunny Akron, Ohio. Finally, says Jim B. Sorry, Jim, I got you confused. Hello from sunny Akron, Ohio. I have a late 60s Sun 60-watt head. I want to find a 112 guitar cab to use with the head. Any suggestions? Needs to be wide enough for the head and play with an AC15. Much love.
How many watts would the Sun be?
60.
Okay, so first of all, I love the idea of a 112 for that. 112s I think sound amazing. I would say I wouldn't normally recommend a vintage 30, but that's 70 watts, right?
60.
60 watts.
Be fine.
I think it could work really well with that amp.
Yeah, depends what kind of sound you want, doesn't it? The cab itself, I don't know if there's an equivalent to Zilla in the US. There must be. So I have quite a few cabs actually made by Zilla, who make custom cabs, and they're pretty affordable. He does a nice job. He does a really great job, and they always sound great. There must be an option in the US to have custom cabs made.
Yeah.
For sensible money.
Well, I had a couple of Burt cabs made many years ago, and they're amazing. They're, I actually had them made from the US and shipped them over. They're brilliant.
Yeah, and in fact, story for another day, but I finally got the Zilla 4x12. Well,
everything else pales into comparison.
I'm talking about it, so you better see it.
We had an experience day on Friday. Just walked past with that.
Some of these flipping 2 rocks.
There you go. So we had an experience day on Friday, and Nick calls me on Thursday and it's like, I've got one more bolt to go, and
it lives.
And it lives. So this came out for its maiden voyage on the experience day on Friday. Blinking heck, it honestly colossal.
It sounds killer.
Absolutely colossal.
So Paul made this, and it we found all the pictures we could of the Dumble 412, and some guy on the web had made one to the best of his knowledge. So we took a bit. Well, I say Paul took a bit of inspiration from that. So it's basically a take on a Dumble 412. This is a sealed box in the bottom. And I've been scrabbling around for speakers to put in it, because originally it was going to have 400-watt Jensen Raptors.
Yes.
2 of them got damaged in transit, 2 of them didn't. So they're in the top, the 2 that didn't get damaged in transit. And in the bottom, I managed to nick 2 vintage 30s from some other cab somewhere.
Right.
I'm pretty happy with how it
Mate,
sounds, actually.
I wouldn't touch a thing. It sounds
So this
epic.
is the bottom is a sealed unit, like a Recto 212, I guess you could say.
That would be why they work.
And then open back on the back at the top.
Yeah, man.
With the Jensens, which sound really nice.
I think in a closed back cab,
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense.
I don't mind vintage 30s, actually.
Yeah.
We'll have a listen to some tomorrow for another video that we're doing. But anyway, so that's that. It weighs about £5,000, which is
It's
brilliant.
unreal.
I shouldn't think it's ever going to leave the TPS studio for...
No, that rig makes me want to get more gigs. It does, because it has to be heard.
It sounds spectacular.
It really.
And stereo, and then I run the main 2 rock, the CRS next to it. So you've got 6x12 and 200 watts.
And it sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous.
Of course it's ridiculous. It's that
But-
panel show.
You've got to hear it. You've
Yeah.
got to hear it.
And
It's
as we-
incredible. It's not like you have all this gear and you plug it in and it's like, well, why would you bother? You plug it in and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I just need a bigger car now to make sure that fits, because why wouldn't you take that everywhere?
And it's an interesting discussion about volume. Like the people that came to the experience day on Friday. Hello to all of you, by the way. Thanks for making it such a great day.
It's unreal.
The point we're trying to make is, look, you don't have all that power for the volume of the loud bits. You have it for the clarity of the quieter bits. So your clean sounds are just like,
Yeah.
and when you play delicately and you're trying to bring something forth, it's got the power to move, which is never going to come out of a small amp. Anyway, sorry, this is the world's biggest digression. Jim wants to know what 112 he should get. So yeah, see if there's someone like Zilla in the States who could make you one, Jim. I don't know if Weber used to make speaker cabs years ago, I think.
Right.
Failing that, hit up Reverb or eBay and see what's out there.
Yeah.
Might be you could find something cool and old that you could replace the speaker in. Yeah, that's often quite a good way.
Yeah.
I keep looking at the Fender 4x15, I think it is, or 4x12, the one with all the wrong angles in the cab. That goes with Bassman, basically.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
They come up every now and again. And like all these things, they're not a huge amount of money because no one can cart them around anymore.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, give that a go. Speaker-wise, yeah, Dan says vintage 30s, why not? I mean, an EV would be fantastic with
EV
that.
would be epic.
But then if you want a bit of raspy breakup in the speaker, then go for something that's got a bit of that, a more Brit sound.
Fane has got some nice higher powered things. Also the creambacks, the Alnico creambacks.
Alnico Creamback's a great sounding speaker.
Really great.
I've liked it every time I've heard it.
Yeah.
And that's not always true of blues. They definitely suit certain amps. Jensen, the modern Jensens will really work. I'm really impressed with those Raptors in there, Raptor 100s. And the speaker that goes in the Mesa Cali Tweed.
Yes.
That Alnico 100-watt Alnico sounds killer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of choice out there.
Yeah, there is.
Good luck. And Matt Edge Hahn again. Rather than investing into gear, let's invest in ourselves. Go out and experience life. There's almost no chance that deciding which tube screamer sounds better will inspire you to create music. There is a danger of a false dichotomy here. To say that one path precludes one path excludes the other. Mm-hmm. I think they can exist together. Mm-hmm. But if you think, clearly neither in isolation is going to get you very far, because if you don't have any gear, you can't make any noise. And if you only sit in your bedroom listening to tube screamers, then maybe that path of development is closed off to you. Mm. Yeah, we're very quick to jump on false dichotomies, aren't we? To say that if we do that, we can't do that. There's loads of things that can coexist. A little bit of that, and maybe the swing between the two could well create some creative tension, and creative tension is such a fantastic thing for creativity.
Absolutely, no question. Yeah, no question.
Think about some of the relationships between famous band members over the years, or producers and band people. It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that creative tension.
Yeah, there's that great story about when Metallica kicked Dave Mustaine out of the band, and his whole motivation for his success was that, and all that tension. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Barry from Exactone says, "Long live the EV12L."
Yeah,
yes, it's such a killer thing.
I'm a fan.
Exactone XTS in Nashville do Barry and his team just do the most beautiful board builds. Really amazing. And being in Nashville, he's not short of a guitar player or two that require services.
Michael Bester is saying that apparently Zilla will ship to the US for a reasonable price. He says, I got
cool.
one in Massachusetts. It's fabulous. Actually, speaking of Massachusetts, we need to shout out to Barry and Hugh on Friday, who had travelled all the way from the US to come to an experience day. They'd spent a week going around Ireland and in England, and then the day before had come down with COVID, so couldn't come to the experience day, which is hearts go out.
Yeah.
Because that must have been massively disappointing. Anyway, we're gonna work out how to turn that situation around in some way. But Hugh and Barry, if you're watching, big love to you guys. I hope you're doing
so
okay.
sorry you couldn't make it.
Yeah, and hope the dreaded illness hasn't struck you down too hard.
Yeah.
Lot of it about at the moment. I mean,
Is there?
COVID or non-COVID, there's lots of people with chest infections and
Lurgies.
all kinds of lurgies at the minute. Here, anyway. My mum's got a really nasty one.
Sam Healy wants to know, are you... sorry to hear about your mum. Sam Healy wants to know, are you keeping the SG mic?
No, it's good.
It will go back. It's just, it will be really sad to see it go. What a great guitar.
They've asked for it back, so I just need to sort it out.
Have they?
Yeah. So I just need to... I did say, as an old acquaintance who I've known for many years works at Gibson, and I'm going to pop in and see him and say hi.
Oh, that's nice.
Which will be nice, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's been interesting having it, actually. I definitely want one. It would be madness not to have one, but just finding the right one at the right price is the problem.
The problem is we've played that one now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be other guitars out there that are just as nice to play in here. That one, unfortunately, looks exceptionally cool and has that thing which some people love about SGs, I love less, is like the wide, slim neck like you'd find on a 61.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not massive... I mean, I can get on with it, but I much prefer that, which is more like a
Leicester
classic burst era Leicester type neck. You know, not big, but like a proper 59 type. But I find myself with experience days and stuff. You know, I pick up the old Strat, I pick up the Gold Top, and I pick up the 335.
Yeah,
those are the guitars I pick up.
Yeah,
so it is gas, really. The SG. I'm
don't judge it.
No, exactly. Just go with it.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. Again, a bit like the old Strat. I knew I wanted one, but the situation had to be right.
Sure.
And maybe that's what will happen with the SG one day.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah.
Todd Roy says...
David, I know, mate. I know I need one. David Burke.
Todd Roy says, Mick and Dan, did you see the show Foo Fighters aired last evening to debut their new drummer, Josh Freese?
Nice. Haven't seen it.
Very good. Well, now we're besties with, you know, not just Chris, but all of the Foo Fighters crew.
Yeah.
You know.
No, they're all our best mates.
Exactly. We'll
be in.
Waiting for the limo to come and pick us up. And
Eagle Ray Rob. Hi, Rob. He says, Tim Lurch embodies the road less travelled and makes it all the difference. His explanation makes it clear that if I will do some basic things, I can learn these things he has learned.
Yeah.
Now I must choose a path. Big thanks. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot more than just guitar stuff going on.
Yeah.
But you can embody everything in guitar stuff. It was really great, really great.
Yeah.
Jacob Baker says, Dan, any news on the EP by any chance? No, Jacob. There's one part of the EP that I need to do, which is the vocals on a couple of things, and I'm really struggling. I've been really busy doing some other things, and I've got kids and exams at the moment, and I've just got stuff going on, and it's an excuse, and it's a pathetic excuse, because I looked the other day, and it was 4 years since I started that thing.
Yeah,
so that's averaging a tune a year.
There are excuses and there are reasons.
Yeah.
And they're not always the same thing.
No.
How are they going, by the way, the exams?
Really well.
Everyone happy?
Yeah, everyone's happy. Zach.
Any walkouts yet?
No. Zach had 2 exams today. So sending love to my boy, and hope you were awesome, mate. And his first exam went okay. He came out feeling it could have gone a bit better, but it could have gone a lot worse. So we'll see how he went with the last one. But generally, they've been okay. Been such a stressful time, because I've got one doing A levels and one doing GCSEs, and of course I don't have a clue, and teens running around making sure that everyone's got everything that they need. Yeah, but it's going okay. It'll be it's not something they'll never go through again. This how full on
until the next lot.
Till the next, yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's critically important, because it decides a few things about what you do next, and that in itself is critically important. But then you get 25 years down the line, I can't even remember what GCSEs I did.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm like, I did do chemistry.
Did you?
Yeah. I did Spanish GCSE.
Spanish chemistry.
And then A levels, I was supposed to do 3. I ended up only doing 2 because I went on tour.
Very good. That's nice.
And then it turned left in that way, and you can't possibly say it while they're going through it, but years down the line, life moves in mysterious ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
And I know that doesn't change anything about what's happening at the moment. But yeah, Liv and Zach, if you're watching,
yes,
not going to wish you good luck, because you don't need it.
No,
do the work.
They have done the work.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of them.
Yep. And to everyone watching who's doing exams at the moment, and if your kids are doing exams, feel this solidarity.
Yes. You know what's amazing? There's these really great teachers who've gone out of the way to just upload videos so kids can watch and get some extra tuition. And some really amazing people out there who just want to help the kids get through. So these teachers, after that, because man alive, they work so flippin' hard, and then after all that stuff,
that's one of those jobs I wouldn't do for £1 million a year.
Yeah, it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, hats off to the teachers.
Yep.
Chapeau.
Chapeau.
Matej Hahn again. Matej or Mate, it's been an expensive night for you. We thank you for your generosity.
You, very kind.
He says, good tone is derived from a great song and not the other way around.
Ooh.
Thank you for all the great content. It's very nice to see great discussions about the philosophical aspects of tone and music, and not just about gear.
Yeah. I think you could, if you expand the good song and just say a connection, great tone is from it's a moment, right? If you can, because that thing, if it's something that you can express through playing guitar, that's tone. If you can say something, and that might be through a good song or through a good melody or whatever, there you go, that's tone. If you get stuff in the way that impedes that, that's where it starts to get tricky.
Yeah. Did you notice that every time Tim went to play the guitar, he said, I might say this?
Right.
And then he plays.
Right.
He doesn't say, I might play this.
So I might say this.
I might say this. And I thought that was a very, very eloquent way to put it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mate.
Thank you, buddy.
We agree.
Yeah,
we agree.
wholeheartedly.
It's a wholesome... It's a 360-degree thing, isn't it? It's not just the sound, it's not just the inspiration, it's not just this, it's the whole aesthetic, and it's the whole way it connects.
Yeah.
I'd go a step further philosophically to say that the minute you define it, it loses all meaning. Because it can only be experienced in the moment.
Yeah.
And that experience is indefinable because your brain can't define it.
It's one of those things that whenever we have guys in here on Experience Day, and it's like you get people from every different walk of life, and as opposite can be, but that one thing of having experienced playing guitar and having experienced saying something, it's so much to have in common with someone, and you can't express what it's like. If you can't tell your friend who doesn't play, they'll never know what it's like.
No.
But if you get in a room with another guitar player who's plugged into a 100 watt Marshall and had it cranked, and now, you know, there's a knowing. There's like a, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Miles Blake, hello Miles, he says, would you prefer the two Rock 12s 65B or the Celestion G1265 to go with the Victory V40 Deluxe head in a 112 cab? I'm sorry to say I don't know, Miles. I haven't really heard that other speaker in a 112. I want to say that's the one that Robin Ford likes, but sometimes I always get it wrong. Sometimes I always get it wrong. There you go. There's a good lyric for you.
60% of the time, it works 90% of the time.
I don't know. I do like that two Rock speaker a great deal. I want to say it's got a bigger magnet, but I just could be wrong. So, yeah, I don't know. Don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't be more help. Jerome Turner. Hello, Jerome.
Hello, Jerome.
Dan, how do you set up your Lazy J? Do you bridge the channels, and do you use the boost tone knob on the ground location? I have one and I'm confused.
Okay. So I go straight into the bright channel and I'll turn that up. But because of the way the circuit works on the Tweed 5E3 thing, if you grab then the normal channel and turn it up, you hear a moment where it kicks in a bit more bottom end. I tend to have the, depending on what I'm doing, when I was gigging with it loads, I would have it so it was like between 2.5 and 3, and it was like as open as I could get it, but quiet enough to sound appropriate, you know. So it had headroom. It sounded mega. Lately, it's been on, you know, like halfway, and I've just been really enjoying the amp working hard, but I've got the attenuator turned down just a little bit to knock back a little bit of that sound pressure level. Yes, I've got the little switch to fatten things up a little bit, which is on the bottom of the chassis, and the tone is up pretty high, not all the way, but pretty high. There'll be, again, try that thing with the, you know, depending on what guitar you play a chord, and you'll find that point where the tone, if you have tone all the way up and then bring it back to where it sounds fat again, yeah, take you 5 minutes to find it and then you'll be done. It's an extraordinary sounding thing. And the reverb in it as well. I don't know if you've got reverb in yours, but I always have the reverb on just a hair. It sounds great.
One man's hair is another flowing mane, Dan.
Yes, indeed.
You do have a nice lot of reverb. I think it's more than you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 There you go.
Not that I wish to contradict you, but it's a goodly dollop. A goodly dollop.
Sure.
BV says Mojo Tone apparently does good cab builds in the US.
Oh, cool.
So thank you for that, BV. And thank you to BV for all the stellar work you do for us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.
Here in this pedal show. BV moderates the chat for those of you who are unaware, and is also very active in the That Pedal Show fans Facebook group. In fact, I think he organises it. So thank you, BV.
Thank you, buddy.
Anyway, he says, try Mojo Tone in the States. Yeah.
Very good.
Right, speeding up. Gaz Podmore, who was here on Friday.
Oh,
hello,
awesome.
Gaz.
Hey, Gaz.
He says, guys, thank you for an amazing day on Friday. My quest for tone has truly begun. I've now booked some time in rehearsal studios so I can make some proper noise.
Yeah.
Play loud, you leg ends, play loud.
So Gaz was in the first. The way it happens is we have a morning where we hang out and we, we chat about stuff. And we do a tour, and then we bring everyone in the room where we go through our current rigs and turn up and let them hear it and what it's like to when we're recording in here. And in the afternoon we split into two groups, and one group will come in here with Mick and where they, we get things set up and they play stuff. Another group will take their boards in with me and we'll go through pedal board stuff and then we'll swap. So Gaz was in the first group, right? And when he came in the second group and he walked in the door and he was absolutely beaming. It was just brilliant. I'm like, you've had fun, haven't you? He's like, oh, mate, it was so good.
Normally what we do is we start off with the deluxe reverb and we'll just turn it to 3 to 5 to 7 to 10, and whoever wants to can have a quick schwang and feel what it's like to play that at 10. And it's a lovely experience, but we didn't do that this time because we started off on some other things. We went through quite a lot of complex rigs, and at the end of the first group, I can't remember why we did it, but I got the plexi in here, the 50-watt plexi, Les Paul, and we just cranked it. And obviously everyone's careful about hearing and stuff, earplugs if they want them. And it's a real light bulb moment for people who've never done it before.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, this really is a different thing.
Yeah.
And the suggestion was, well, okay, it's impossible at home, isn't it? Of course it is. One thing that Dan and I have always done throughout our playing lives, if we can't play loud at home, is to book a rehearsal room and go there, get in the car, put the stuff in the car, and if you've got to go on your own, so be it.
Yeah.
But if you can go with a couple of mates, and Gaz has sort of decided he's gonna grab that mantle and go and feel what it's like to play loud a bit more often, because it is a different sport.
Totally different. Yeah. Totally different.
Some things are harder, some things are easier, but it's different.
Yeah. And if you're not out playing, on the weekends and, regularly, it's something that, when we start doing some gigs again, I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to get into a room or turn up here and just spend some time at volume.
Yeah. Just to get used to it again.
Just to get that, yeah, definitely.
David Walls, hi David, he says, what about an acoustic experience day? Who would go? Would be nice. We'd probably have to get some muscle in, because Dan and I play acoustic, but we're not, I don't know, I edited Acoustic Guitar Magazine for a minute. We're not dedicated acoustic players, and so maybe if we got a guest in, hosted someone.
We'll get John Smith in and I'll make the tea and biscuits.
Yeah, that could be nice.
Yeah.
Would be interesting not to be 107 dB for 3 hours.
Yeah. As long as all the guitars are in tune.
Yeah.
Would be good.
Part of the point of the experience day is that a lot of this stuff people just can't see and get their hands on. But
yeah.
If it's acoustic guitars, you can kind of sort of do that in lots of places. Maybe. I have had some ideas actually for alternative approaches. Anyway. Too much detail. Nice one, Gaz. Thanks so much for coming, mate. Hope your journey home was easy.
Yeah.
Swiz871 or Swiz871 started the other day by making pure noise with the Earthquaker data corruptor, and it ended with some melodic chords through the lush reverb of the Neon Egg Planetarium.
Oh, lush.
Gotta love the journey of pedals. Man, what a combination that would be.
That Neon Egg is really special.
Yeah, if you've never seen that, look it up. It's really groovy.
Yeah.
Data corruptor, what's that, like a bit
crusher type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it's a bit crusher.
Nice one, Swizz. Sam Colson, hello Sam. D&M, firstly loving the new 321.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Daniel, thank you to you and the team. My question, is there any way to do proper wet dry out of either G2 or G3 without a humdinger?
Yeah.
G2 no, G3 yes.
Yeah. G3 you can split the signals inside and send your dry signal on one side and send your wet signal on the other. You can actually get a lot more so my rig, and I'm going back to a more traditional wet dry rig. As much as I love the wet dry wet thing, the stereo field, I'm becoming too emotionally involved with it. I want to get back to standard wet dry thing, but what I do is I will have my overdrives and then I'll split it, so you can do this in G3, split it in parallel, and then one side I'll run through my delays and reverbs, and that go to the wet amp. The dry side, which has my overdrives, I will, if I kick on a modulation like a flanger or a vibrato, I'll actually kick that through the dry side, and because I don't want the wet side just to have I mean, you can mix and match, but if you imagine the vibrato going through the delay and reverb and the dry side being completely dry, it gets a bit soupy. But having the wet side still with the analog through on it, and then the dry side moving a little bit. Oh man, it's epic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you that's all internal in G3. To do that in G2, you need to have a humdinger and a loop.
Yeah, more prosaically, the point of having the humdinger and the loop is for two reasons. One, it physically gives you a split. So let's say if you had G2, this is how I used to do it, and your split comes at, say, loop 6, right? Out of 10 loops, it comes at loop 6. You go out of loop 6 into your humdinger, and then off to your dry amp straight from there, and then back into loop 6. And if you want to add a pedal in there, you can as well. But what the humdinger is doing is it's splitting the signal first. Second, it's isolating the second output so that you don't get ground loop hum. And thirdly, it's offering you a phase reversal function so that if one of your amps happens to be out of phase, you can correct it. So if you have another device that can do those things, split, phase reverse, and isolate, so basically any decent ABY switcher, then you don't need a humdinger. And it might be that you don't need a humdinger. You can go out, create a loop, use any splitter device, go into a stereo chorus, for example, and out the direct out. But the high likelihood is you're going to have a hum problem and you're going to have a phase problem. It's highly likely that you will. G3 does all of that internally.
Yeah.
So you can do it within G3. So you don't need a humdinger with G2, but you need something that will isolate, reverse phase, and do the split. So hopefully that explains that.
Yeah, beautifully. You explained very well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Steve Mass. Hello, Steve. He says, Mick, you've mentioned working for guitar magazines. Could you tell the story of that part of your career? I may have missed those details. I'll do it very briefly because it could take a long time. But yeah, before this, in fact, my homework for this, I left university when I was about 21, 22, something like that, 22. I worked for Barclays Bank for 6 months, which was horrific. And I lived in Bath in the
poor stories
in the UK, and the big publishing company there, Future Publishing, had just bought my favourite guitar magazine. So I ended up getting a job on that guitar magazine alongside some other people, pretty much straight out of uni. And I stayed there. I went from production assistant, which is like the junior level, to deputy editor within 2 or 3 years, something like that. And then I went off and worked on some other magazines. I was editor of Metal Hammer magazine.
So cool.
I was managing editor of Mountain Biking UK magazine. And then I was waiting for the editorship of Guitarist to come up. So some friends of mine were launching another guitar magazine over in Cambridge, which
is where we met.
Yeah, but that was where the roots of Guitarist magazine was in the first place. So there was a lot of cross-pollination, and quite a few of the decent musicians magazines that have come out over the years have come from that old publishing house. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Did that. Waited for the editorship of Guitarist to come up. When the editorship of Guitarist came up, I went for that and got it. And then I ended, so now it would be 2007. So what's that, 96 to 2007, about 10 years. I end up as editor of Guitarist. I then become editor-in-chief of Guitarist, Total Guitar, and Guitar Techniques. They're 3 mags. With a sort of hand in some of the digital stuff as well. Left there in 2013 as managing editor, editor-in-chief of all that, because for lots of reasons, and came and started my own company and have since ended up here.
Yeah.
But that was one of the reasons that Dan and I get on so well, and that pedal show works, is because I've got a background in all of that. So I met everyone from the guitar industry, know lots of people there. Dan had lots to do with artists. Obviously, I met my share of artists over the years. So we kind of had a shared history, many, many years of working professionally within the guitar business. And that's what helped underpin that pedal show, if you like,
Yeah.
in terms of what we could get hold of and who we could talk to.
Which makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, however, that since leaving the magazine, how to say this without sounding arrogant, millions more people know who we are now than they ever did when I worked on a magazine, partially because it's on YouTube, I guess. What I'm saying is I think the success of that pedal show in terms of the work we've done eclipses whatever I ever did on a guitar magazine.
Out of Touch says, the way Dan chipped in and said, and that's where we met, felt a bit like a scene out of the couple segment when Harry met Sally. It was kind of cute.
But I'm
and that's how we met.
I'm forever
beer.
forever grateful for what was Future Publishing, this small, independent, fiercely creative, fearless melting pot of idiots who did 100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Went down the pub a lot. You know, it couldn't exist anymore. And and they were hard workers. And the standards were off the scale.
Yep.
The standard to which you had to work was, and I will be forever grateful of that. It then turned into a corporate nightmare, but that's a whole other story.
I remember, so I had a young guy working for me, Dave Durbin, a ridiculously talented guitar player.
Handsome Dave.
Handsome Dave. And apparently he never liked that nickname. Never told
Handsome
me.
Dave.
Yeah, never liked it. Anyway, it was very handsome guy. There are worse ones. But anyway, he worked for me originally before he went to work at Guitarist magazine, and he had dyslexia and stuff. Like was never really good at English, but when he started working for you at the start, he says, "Can you help me just write this few paragraphs out and stuff?" I said, yeah, no worries. I think it was 6 months later, he came down and was correcting all of my paragraphs for the website and stuff. Is like the difference with what he was able to do, just language-wise, was I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. We did a lot of work with Dave.
Yeah.
But yeah, the standards were so high in the early
high.
days. I will be forever grateful for the Guitar magazine, because it wouldn't be here without all of that. And yeah, amazing what a bit of few years gives you in terms of hindsight.
Yeah, sure.
Because it was pretty stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Numerous dreadful relationships, 2 near nervous breakdowns, borderline alcoholism, financial ruin, all of those things that young idiots do.
Right.
Yeah.
Made a good magazine though.
Yeah, I don't think it was the magazine's fault, to be fair. Yeah, there we are. So, Steve, there you go. That was probably too much time, but that's the backstory. Band reunion post COVID-19, says Elias Bloom.
Getting the band back together.
Oh, I met Elias at NAMM. Hello, mate. It was lovely to meet you. He says lugged gear with value on par per capita of developing countries. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But needed just one guitar and a Squire and backline to have the time of my life. Toys are fun, but joy requires context. Yeah, so he's saying he's been through gear forever.
Yep.
But actually, an Esquire and an amp and a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Is what counted.
Totally. Brilliant. It's great. If that's what gave you joy in that moment, then job done. It's wonderful. I think for me, I have moments when I'm just at home playing the Johnny's acoustic, thinking it just doesn't get any better than this. But then I'll be plugged into a mood, going into a microcosm, into a stereo thing, and I sit there going, well, this is everything. Then last week, Ed O'Brien comes in to the workshop, just built a new rig for him, and he turns on like 4 delays and has them all going through into different amps and stuff, and just gets he tweaks the like the feedback to a point where it's like I'm sitting there going, well, this is everything. You know what I mean? You can have those moments with nothing but a G-string tied over a milk bottle and a slide.
I met her once.
Her name was Sandy. You can have, or with the most elaborate setup ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it just depends on where you're
doing
at.
what the moment requires.
Absolutely.
And nothing more and nothing less.
Yeah.
That's it.
But there is, I mean, Esquires, man, a good Esquire, far out. Hard, amazing things. Amazing things.
Brang. Chris Miller says, I love this show. Wondering on your thoughts whether you favour using effect pedals during recording or adding effects in post for continuity of sound when playing live.
So it's a really interesting question. For me, it's a mixture. But I do try and if I've got a specific delay sound or something I'm, working with, I do try and print that to tape wherever I can. But then there's the things like the room plugins that make everything sit.
There's core tone, isn't there? There's the core sound.
Yeah.
And it might be that if you're the Edge and you're doing Where the Streets Have No Name or With or Without You or something, to play that without the delay would seem crazy. Wouldn't work, would it? So doing that in post wouldn't make any sense. However, adding huge spatial reverbs and loads of other delays, there's loads of people who think, music is a pure pursuit, but actually listen to a lot of music. There's a ton of stuff done post.
Yeah.
So I think whatever inspires you to get the part is what you use. And then the production is a different game. That's somebody else's job at that point, unless you're self-producing, but you need to put a different hat on because what's required in a mix might be different than what's required on the thing. So what is required to create the sound? And presumably you've thought about it enough to make that important.
That's where the work is.
Yeah.
That moment. Discovering.
Yeah, don't just stick a quarter note delay on it because you put a quarter note delay on everything. The quarter note delay's there, it's got to be there for a reason.
Yeah.
When you're creating the sound. But then, so that's great, that gets printed. Then you come to mix or whatever. And it might be that in order for it to work in the mix, it needs more effects. Live is, again, a different thing. Now, we know people who, and you might fall into this category, who slavishly try and recreate the record live. And if you think about the early days of when Logic had its live application, so all the plugins you used on your recording, you could recreate in a live environment. So you end up sounding like a record. I mean, Dan and I are not massive fans of that, to be honest. Much better when you get to the live arena to go, okay, well, that was the recorded sound. What does this music require live? How does it need to be simplified in order to work for a live audience?
Yes. Noel was a really good example of that.
Exactly what he said, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's like, we've got all these songs. He says, but when everyone turns up for the rehearsal of the new album, I don't want them trying to cop the tones and stuff of the album. It's like, he said, I won't really know what this album's about until we're 6 months into the tour, and let them develop live and do their own thing. So, yeah, it's a really interesting thing. Obviously, you've got to sing the melody and play the chords, but I just think the live thing, there's so much potential for the growth of the song and the experience.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. Noel said that he's got songs on when he's done tours before, he's had songs that he was absolutely sure would be corkers, and then other songs he's like he wasn't really sure about. And then the audience loved them. He said that the audience is your truth meter.
They'll tell you.
They'll tell you.
Yeah. I would say if you're not sure, if you're stepping on things and you're not really sure, then turn them off. Keep it simple. If it's there as the core of the sound and it's really important to the mood you're creating, keep it on. If you're just turning stuff on because you think you should, leave it off. Simple is always better in that respect because you can do stuff post.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Good luck. Good
yeah,
luck.
mate. Good luck.
Oh. Sorry.
No. You just sounded like, oh, it was a character death at the end of like Mario Brothers or something. It was like perfectly in tune and modulated at the same frequencies. Very nice.
Marco Barozzi. Hello, Marco.
Hello, Marco.
He says, hey, gents, love the show with Tim. Unrelated question, is Simon still part of TPS? Sorry if this question bothered you. It's just curiosity. It doesn't bother us at all. We work with Simon on the bigger jobs these days. Simon's very busy. He's crazy professional. He's off doing BBC work and flashy stuff at Abbey Road Studios
and travelling all over the world,
New York and all that. And what we found is the day-to-day filming of that pedal show we can absolutely handle ourselves, and obviously there's a big benefit in terms of cost there if we do handle it ourselves. But when we need some muscle, which we needed for Noel Gallagher, for example, we take Simon.
Yeah.
It's good to have a professional in the room. So day-to-day stuff we do ourselves. Technology is partly allowed for that. Faster computers, better cameras, a bit more knowledge on our part. But
on your part. Thank you for including me, unnecessarily including me in that knowledge roundup.
But yeah, when it's a big job, when we need a grown-up, we take Simon.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's available, he's a busy boy. He's a busy boy.
Is.
Yeah. Raf Freitas. Hello, Raf.
Hello, Raf.
Hi, DNM. First time seeing the Brothers Landreth this past Saturday, and wow, thanks for the intro. P.S. I saw at least one other TPST there. I wonder how many TPS friends were in attendance.
Yeah.
A few, we'd say.
Yeah. If you ever get the chance to go and see Joey Landreth live, far out. What a... Just unreal.
Yeah, all of them. They're a real unit.
Yeah.
The three of them, is particularly at the moment, which is Joey and Roman and Dave, and they're becoming this thing that you can only become with time. More than the sum of its parts, a unit that's really in tune.
Right.
And you can do that. You know, you can get together with a bunch of people and play, but then when you've been playing together a few years and finding your feet together, it becomes a different game. And I'm such a fan of that.
See.
And that's the Mario sound.
No, it's Pac-Man actually.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Very good. Thank you, Alan Tracy and Chris Quinn, for that.
Really glad you enjoyed it, Raf. Open Road Gravy. Open Road Gravy. That sounds slightly dodgy, but maybe it's not. It's holiday here in BC, British Columbia. So I finally get to watch live. Zonk into Fuzzface or Fuzzface into Zonk?
BC, I thought you were going to say Swindon.
Oh, before Christ. Can't go back to London, can't go back to Swindon, can't go back to Waterloo. Anyway, in British Columbia, it's a holiday. Good. So I finally get to watch live. Right, Zonk into Fuzzface or Fuzzface into Zonk? I'm going to say Fuzzface into Zonk.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the Zonk is a 3-transistor fuzz. The Fuzzface is a 2-transistor fuzz. The Zonk will handle the impedance from the fuzz a lot better than the other way around. So I would absolutely go with that. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, because the Fuzzface, absolutely essential. It sees your guitar volume control, especially if you're playing a Stratocaster or a 50s wired Gibson. Then you get that cleanup. Whereas if you put the Fuzzface after the Zonk, you're going to lose all of that. Zonks typically don't clean up as well as Fuzzfi, but they do vary a lot. So I would go Fuzzface first personally.
I concur.
As always, try them both and see what you think.
Yep, very good.
If cleanup's important to you, Fuzzface first. But then it is then entirely possible that the Zonk isn't going to like what the Fuzzface is putting out. So it's one of those things, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Rice or chips? Half rice, half chips, wouldn't it? That's what you would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And just flip them around and they'll be in different order.
Yeah. Well, that's when you need a pedal switcher, you see.
There you go. There you go.
One that doesn't have buffers in the loops.
Where's blue?
Over
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Just some people asking where's blue.
It sits next to my desk in the what I loosely call my office. I've got some Strat work to do because I am finally going to make this video with the bridges. People have been asking a lot about that.
Okay.
Also, all my volume controls have gone screwy. So in blue, I've stuck the pickguard in it, which has got the broken bit on the thing, and it's annoying me. So I'm going to swap that out for a proper pickguard in blue and get that up and running again. My 70 Strat, the volume knob's gone screwy. My custom shop Strat, the volume knob's gone screwy. And get this, Dan, I'm not going to vlog this because I need to be concentrating on actually doing it.
Right.
You can just hear it before and after. These actually aren't the original pots in here.
No.
So
You found original pots.
I did find some. And they were a good price.
Well done.
They were 450 quid for 3. But
Yes.
that listing had ended 6 years ago. So now they're £1,500 for 3. So I'm not doing that.
Moon River. Just relax.
But I have bought.
You do any time, Doug?
See, that is starting to go dodgy as well.
Okay.
I need to fix this switch.
What, put a 5-way in?
No, because it's very stiff.
Oh, okay.
And it's either stiff because the switch is screwy or the pickguard has shrunk.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
I think it's the former.
Right.
The latter, sorry. So I just need to file that out a bit. And I'm going to try... I was talking to my good friend Dan Drive about Strats. He's a Strat fanatic, as am I.
Right.
And he was telling me some really interesting things about pots after his research
Right.
and talking to Andreas Klotman a lot. One is something I've heard from lots and lots of people, that this one needs to be 270 really,
Okay.
or 280.
Yeah, okay.
And I've heard quite a few people saying the best old Strats they've heard have pots that are up there. Because if you get this and it's got a 15%...
Have you measured it?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
So I've bought some, and bought some new ones, but vintage spec ones that are vintage spec pots in terms of components, but that are rated at between 260 and 280.
Okay.
Specially selected. So I'm going to have this one out and measure it.
But that's original, the pot in that one, is
No.
it not? Okay. Okay.
I thought it was, but they're not. They were replaced some time ago. So I'm going to measure them and see what difference it makes.
Right.
And I think that'll be quite interesting.
So people are saying 1,500 for pots is insane. It wasn't even the pots, it's just the knobs, right?
No, 3 pots.
Oh, 3 pots. Okay, I thought you were talking about the knobs. Okay. So all the pots have been changed.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Well, at least 2, I think.
Yeah, but the knobs are original, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. That's what I thought you pointed to them. I went, what, the curtains?
No,
yeah.
I wouldn't be worried about that.
Okay.
Well, I would, obviously, but... yeah, it is insane. It's completely insane. But there you go. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Because people think they don't make a difference.
Oh, totally.
Let me tell you, they do. Anyway, Dan was saying he's got all kinds of ways of manipulating them, doing little tiny things to the wipers, which make them much more like... Because apparently at 0, you still get a bit of...
Bleed through.
Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on a volume pot exploration.
Nice.
Because this guitar, pickups notwithstanding, is certainly the brightest sounding of the bunch.
Right.
And guess what?
What?
It's got a 270 volume pot.
Well, yeah.
But it's also got a quarter sawn, super stiff neck.
But it makes no difference, mate.
No, it doesn't. It makes no difference. And I'm not even going, I think it could sound better. I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in the difference.
Totally, yeah, totally.
And given that they're not original, I'm not worried about monkeying with it.
Yeah. Good.
So there we are. How did we get there?
Meat feast tonight?
I've got us some lamb. and some pork things,
Oh, come on.
and some pita breads and a bunch of salad and some new potatoes.
Oh, Michael.
It'd be nice.
That'd be lovely.
We can barbecue the dead animals and chop the salad.
Okay. Feverishly.
Screaming
Yeah.
that it is. Yeah.
Nice.
Matt Hernan. Hello, Matt. FHR user. Can't you just buy 300k pots and put higher value capacitors to achieve 280? Oh.
No. I mean, it's resistance, but it's not. What you can do, you can. You can do that, but it's so much better if you can find the right value pot. You can go. So remember, what you're measuring is the resistance from one end of the wiper to the other. And one end of the wiper is going to be grounded. So what you can do is go from one end of the wiper through to the other. But before that hits ground, you can put a small resistor on there to increase the value. But you never get the full sweep of the pot, right? You're always going to have, you go to the one end, but you're always going to have that bit of resistance there. So if you find the right value pot, you get the full sweep. Yum. If that's what you like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Hey all, first time caller, says Matt Hernan. Hello, Matt. Or Hermon. Matt Hermon. Herman. Sorry, Matt. First time caller, if I'm using a preamp style overdrive, would it be best to put this last in the drives? I'm using a Glado, King of Tone, Tumnus, Dualist, and a Friedman BEOD. What would your advice be on order?
It depends how you're using it. So
they are all overdrive pedals, by the way. Even though it says preamp on them, they're overdrive pedals.
Yeah. So, I did a rig. So this past, I know I mentioned Ed, but I did this rig because he's got this new Soundgas make this Grampian 636 preamp.
Yes, they do.
Have you heard it?
I don't want to hear it.
Dude.
I've seen the price, so I know what it's going to sound like.
It has ruined me.
Yeah, don't. You see how much they are?
I know. So, now I had thought, well, he's going to want that at the end of the signal chain just to warm things up a bit. No. That goes first, cranked, and...
Oh, actually, they're not too bad.
It's
£2,500.
Yeah. It's
for studio gear. That's very sensible.
Yeah, but this is an overdrive pedal, like one knob Grampian preamp overdrive pedal format.
Oh, they're only 1,500.
They're only 1,500.
Yeah.
But that
you could buy 0.3 clons for that.
It is astonishing. Now that is a proper preamp, but used in that context, it is as an overdrive pedal. Hello, pretty girl.
Sorry, I need to use the facilities.
Yeah.
Here's
You
Rosie
go.
Poopins. Hello, Rosie.
Come on up, darling. Come on, see me.
Bit tired, aren't you, Rosie? You had a busy day today.
She has had a busy day.
You come up here. It's probably a long way to jump, isn't it, for a small dog? Come on then.
Yeah.
Pup date. Rosie is no longer a puppy. She is a full-grown dog. She's now 2.5 years old, going on 2.5 months. Good girl. Yeah. So Ed had one of those. In your the Gladio says preamp on it, and it functions okay as a preamp. It doesn't really do the full preamp job. The advice we always give as a start point, and bear in mind it's only a start point, start with the heaviest gain thing first and the least gain thing last. But in Ed's case, look, he's already turned that upside down because he's got the first thing cranked. So if you understand what the relationship is between a lighter overdrive and a heavier overdrive, or a loud pedal and a quiet pedal, once you understand what the dynamic is between those two things,
Yes.
then that will give you the best way forward. And if you're not sure about that, we did a show recently. What was it called, Dan?
Is this a preamp or an overdrive?
It was after that, I think. It
Overdrive
was
or preamp?
specifically about.
Gain Stage 101.
Yeah. Let me let's have a look on the old pedal show here. That is a show that's well worth watching. We go into it in detail, and it should really expand your understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I will tell you what the video is called. I just need a second to find it. Sorry.
It's all about not what the type of pedal it is. It's all about how you're using it. So if you're using it for a light overdrive, if you put that towards the end of the gain staging, when you put something into it, it's not going to limit or compress as much. However, if the opposite is true, if you put a really heavy distortion at the end of the signal chain, when you put a clean boost into it, you're going to hardly notice any change, because it's already so squashed. Now, it's not a hard and fast rule, and I myself like to change things up, but that will give you a really good place to start. The heavier, the more distorted thing at the front, and the more open sounding thing at the back.
Yeah, the video was from 8 months ago, and it is called, the thumbnail says, Best Order, Wrong Question.
Oh, yeah.
And
Was that 8 months ago?
the video is actually called Overdrive, Distortion and Boost Pedal Order Once and For All.
Yeah.
So, because that is the most common question we get asked, and we say, look, if you just understand what's going on, you never need to ask the question again. Not that we're tired of being asked the question, by the way, just that it does seem to confuse a lot of people. So yeah, overdrive, distortion and boost pedal order once and for all. You're asking the wrong question. 8 months ago it was. And
Yes.
the thumbnail's got some words on it and a big question mark made of pedals.
Indeed.
There we
Steve
are.
Horton says, "Hi guys, just got in from work. Hope you had a good day, mate."
Nice. Nice.
Right.
Thank you, Jacob Backer, for the clarification on
Yes,
the wrong question.
Yes, thank you, mate.
So yeah, good luck, Matt. Christopher Rosenqvist from Sweden, who, I don't know about you, Dan, I went to a Eurovision party last Saturday night. I thought it was a bit sus that Sweden won, if I'm honest.
Really?
It's 50th anniversary
Right.
since ABBA won, and surprise, Sweden won with a pretty average song, I've got to say.
Okay. Was it as average as the UK one?
I actually thought the UK was better, but
Okay.
yeah. So that says something.
Okay.
It was a bit too Europop for me, the English one. British one.
Oh, okay.
It was a bit kind of...
Right.
and I'm just not into that.
Have you heard Sam Ryder play guitar?
No.
He's amazing.
Is he?
He's amazing. he did a duet with Justin from Darkness,
Wicked.
and
I could see that working.
they were doing it live and shredding.
Oh,
it was
awesome.
amazing. Yeah, Sam's amazing.
Anyway, so it's going back to Sweden for the 50th year, but, which is fitting, I guess, but it did feel like a bit of a fit-up, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just a personal opinion. Christopher Rosenqvist from Sweden says, "Hey guys, thanks for your great content. What would you say is the biggest difference between lowering your pickups and picking softer?"
Oh, good question. Right. So, they're fundamentally different things. Like the lower the pickups, there's this thing called an inverse square law, where, and it's a bit different for magnets actually, but it basically goes, if you imagine you've got your pickup and your string, that if you halve the distance between the pickup and the string, you're going to double the output of the pickup, right? And then if you double the distance between the pickup and the string, you're going to halve the output. So lowering the pickup will reduce the amount of output, but what it does is it also reduces the magnetic pull on the strings. Now, it can be a subtle thing, depending on how much you're talking about, but one of the reasons I like having a lower, the bass string side of the pickups are a bit lower for me is just because of the mass of the strings, and they just resonate a bit nicer. But if you find that sweet spot, because it depends on where you're lowering your pickup from, because there'll come a point with depending on how close your pickup is to the string, where you're getting wolf tones and these sort of weirdness. And the video that I did with Matt over at Monty's sort of demonstrated that, because we play a lot of vintage style guitars. We've never really been like super low action pickups, just a hair underneath the strings.
I've got mine in my Strat as low as they'll go. They won't go any lower on the neck and the middle. So
right. Yeah,
I would like the neck to be a little bit lower, but it won't go any lower because the cavities aren't quite as deep on the old guitars.
Wow. Yeah, so and if you're just picking softer, you are the vibration is less, and you're not creating the same amount of current. So, but it's a different thing because depending on the pickups as well. Sorry, Mick. Depending on the pickups as well, because if you're talking about humbuckers reach their potential faster than single coils, and so then it becomes subjective. Like, how soft is soft, and are you bashing away at them? Yeah.
Yeah. I think more prosaically, it's much easier to lower your pickups than it is change your picking style.
Yeah.
So I think you need to play how you want to play and adjust the guitar to suit, rather than if you've been playing for a minute and you when I say a minute, I mean a long time. If you've been playing for a while and you play the way you play, and changing that too much is going to be a big job, then it's just easier to adjust the guitar than it is your playing style. Much better to get the gear to work for you rather than you to have to work for your gear, is what I'm saying.
Very good. That's very good.
Yeah. But totally right. Proximity of string to magnet is
huge.
Yeah. Chris Quinn says, Bookovac says lower pickups sounds like records, except P90s need to be higher. Not sure what I think about that. Yeah,
interesting.
I sort of know what he means. Dan touched on it earlier. As just a pure personal preference and a way in which I've played over the years, powerful pickups close to strings is a sound that doesn't work for me.
Right.
Because I find there's too much linearity in the way that it responds.
Sure. And
like Dan's saying, lower output pickups further away, I find I have an easier dynamic time with that. And I feel like, this is going to sound crazy, I feel like I'm hearing less pickup and more guitar and amp and pedal.
Mm.
Whereas when it's shoved up there and it's 16K, I feel like all I'm hearing is pickup.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a terrible reduction, but that's how I've always thought about it.
Yeah. It's that dynamic thing, right? If your pickup is reaching its potential sooner, then it is less dynamic range. Now, there are some people that play brilliantly with that style, but certainly for me, I've always appreciated being able to hammer on this guitar and just keep it,
Yeah.
I
think people
excitement level.
People are misunderstanding what I said. John Fruin says you can play hard or soft during a performance, whereas adjustments to the pickups on stage isn't possible. And Edward John says if you want dynamic range in your playing, picking style is everything. Yes, I don't disagree. I wasn't suggesting you play at one at one level and make the pickups match. I wasn't, clearly you play over a range of dynamic. Of course, that's exactly how everyone should play. But within that, you then need to set your gear up to
To be
make sense
dynamic.
for that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yes. Okay. Ran's there. Hello, Ran.
Hey, buddy.
Dear D&M and N and K and R. N? Norman?
Nigel.
Should be B, shouldn't it? Unless my eyes have just finally given up. Greetings from a sweltering Israel, says Ran Zer. Any tips on expanding my chordal repertoire and rhythm playing in general beyond note memorisation? Watch Friday's show.
Watch Friday's show. Songs. Learn songs all the way through. Learn. So what's really interesting about, you can take a really simple song. So one thing that I found when everyone first starts playing, and one of the first things I learned was, and I thought, okay, well then we're going to go to, and so the blues thing is really interesting because it's one of the first things that you learn, the 1-4-5 thing, but then the chords can become more complicated, and then it's one of those. It's one of those things that you can take the simplest chord progression and then start adding things to it. And it's what Tim did a beautiful demonstration in the show last week of how a really simple thing could suddenly become really complicated. So learn songs all the way through and then try and, do something different with them. Learn a new chord every day and try and throw it in something.
Yeah, a word of caution with that, because the temptation, and I'm sure Tim touched on this in the video, was that, in fact, it was this chord that he used.
Right.
That's a ridiculous chord, right? Because, is that a 13, Dan?
It's a 6/9. It's a major 6/9 chord. You know what that chord's out of? It's up.
Oh, right.
See, Steve plays it and he goes,
Sisters. Nice.
Yeah.
So the amount of harmonic information in that chord is massive, because here we start off on the thick one, which is a low note, and we end up on the thin one, which is a really high note. So one thing that might help you more prosaically, I've said prosaically a lot today, in your rhythm playing is, instead of worrying about a whole chord, figure out which the notes in that chord are interesting. What can you get away with playing? Because it might be if you're playing rhythm, and let's say you're playing let's say the song's in D. And it might be that you can pick out the important notes and just play those, and play them in an interesting way. And then you can harmonise them right within the chord. So don't necessarily think about having to play the whole chord all the time.
yeah.
Think about bits of the chord that are interesting. And if you don't want to play it there, maybe you can play it here. That's where note knowledge comes in handy, because you can. And here we have a different tonality, right? And that's just two notes. Fun with two notes.
Fun with two notes.
And that, for me, because I can't remember complex chords and I can't remember complex fingerings and all that, actually just thinking about the actual chord tones and messing about with them, and then instead of going, what flowery chord can I play here? Here we go. Brilliant. Actually, this with a bit of tremolo
Yeah.
says way more than that over a bass player and a singer and
Sure.
a backing singer that's looking at you going, I don't need that much in my chord.
Yeah.
I just want this. So
Yeah,
that's
very good.
That's the way I think about it. Because it's being effective, isn't it?
Yes, completely.
Tom Dickinson, right, we should have a question from you, from BV. BV, thank you very much. Tom Dickinson. No. James Pennon. No, Tom, sorry, I don't think we have a question from you. My apologies. Sorry if we've missed you. Eagle Ray Rob, is the vibrato side of the Jam Waterfall on a par with the Diamond vibrato? Thank you.
It's really great.
But no.
But no, it's the Diamond is a different thing. But I have used it in that mode before, and it's really, really nice. Beautiful analog vibrato. The Diamond one is really special. It just is. Everyone who hears it's like, that's it.
Is there a tone knob on the Diamond vibrato?
No.
Okay, so here's what I would say to that, having used the Diamond vibrato just recently. There's one here somewhere. I saw it earlier. Oh, I put it out there.
The Diamond vibrato?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
I'm just wondering if we had another one.
We do. We have two.
Oh my word.
Well, you've got one.
I've got one. You got one as well. There you go. Awesome.
Diamond have relaunched.
They have.
Yes. That happened this week. Okay, so the two pedals we're talking about are... That was excellent.
Thank you.
That was really excellent. And Rob is asking about the vibrato sound. So this is a chorus pedal, right? And same as in some chorus pedals, if you switch the switch to vibrato, it switches off the dry signal and you just get the modulated wobbly. This does that. The reason I asked if there's a tone knob on it, this thing sounds massive, and that might be too much.
Yeah, sure.
So it sounds colossal and thick and huge, whereas this sounds nice and thick.
Right.
So it doesn't sound as all-envelopingly massive as that. And that might be too much.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Absolutely. Because there is no hiding when that gets kicked on.
Yeah, 24 volts for a start.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. That might be a consideration, actually, Rob. It's 24 volts, which is a pain. Because you'd need one of Dan's Electroman. It's Electroman, isn't it?
It is.
You need Electroman and centre positive. No. So would you need that? Comes out centre positive, does it? Yeah. So you'd need an Electroman converter and enough mumbo from your power supply to be able to deliver that.
Yeah.
So that might be a consideration, whereas the Waterfall just runs on a straight 9 volt, takes virtually no current.
Yeah, and it's a really great sounding.
It's
thing.
a lovely, lovely chorus.
Yeah.
So yeah, hope that helps.
And you can get the Waterfall. That's a big consideration. You can't get the Diamond vibratos.
Oh yeah, it's not in there. So in their recently relaunched line, it's not in the line currently, but I think they are looking at it.
So I would be very surprised if they could produce that again.
Right.
Just because of the chips and everything they use, it's all NOS stuff in there. So yeah, but if they can, amazing.
And Raf Freitas, he says, one more thing. Just learned my local Philly-ish, as in Philadelphia-ish tech, was the original guitarist for 80s UK group Wasted, Ronnie Cafield. Coolest cat and a great tech.
Awesome.
I love that. Wasted with a Y. Nice one, Raf. Mosright says, morning from sunny North Carolina wine country. North California wine country.
Right.
Thanks for the 115 info. I now have a Rivera Jazz 50 with a glorious 15-inch speaker. great inspiring cleans.
Wow.
Tim Lurch is a great teacher, eh? Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. Oh, anything Rivera. Tick the box.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Nice amps,
He's
Riveras.
that really, really great designer.
Thank you, Mosright. Have a nice Pinot Noir for me.
Mm.
I do like a Californian Pinot Noir, Dan.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
What are we having tonight with our meat feast?
Well, it depends if we're drinking or not. I've got a nice Zinfandel, actually, which is from their neck of the woods.
Ooh.
Yeah. Do
See
you know
how we go.
Zinfandel is the same grape as, or Zinfandel, as you would say, is the same grape as Primitivo from
Okay.
Italy.
Amazing.
But they end up tasting quite different, obviously, because of the terroir and the. There's a great TV show on at the moment called Drops of God, and it's about this French dude who amasses this awesome wine collection, and he becomes a leading professor in wine. And as it turns out, two people, I shall say no more than that, are potentially heirs to his estate and his fortune, but they have to guess these wines along the way.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Wow, awesome.
It's pretty good.
That's
And
great.
Apparently the way you train as a sommelier is you learn, or at least a wine person, is you learn all the key smells. So vanilla, or I can't remember what he said, there are 400 and some key smells.
Right.
And you learn them.
Wow.
And then so combinations of them, the colour of the wine and some other stuff, that is what makes identifying the wine.
Amazing.
It's basically a game of
Two halves.
that. What's the word I'm looking for? Elimination.
Okay. Not breaststroke.
So if it's this and that, it can't be that.
Okay. Got it. Oh, right. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So Elon Mulder says the vibrato is being re-released at some point, so can't wait. And then Blues R Us says, who's going to Royal Albert tonight?
We're not tonight,
Not
but we
tonight.
are tomorrow.
We are going to be there tomorrow.
Thank you, Jim.
Come on.
Yeah.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah. Russian River Valley Pinot is the best, says Gordon Rankin. Okay, I shall see to give that a go. Carlisle Wine, says Wes Chilton, specifically the Papera Ranch Zinfandel. I will, yeah, thanks for the recommendations, guys. Nice.
Very good.
David Hammer says Wasted was Pete Way's band post UFO.
First UFO, okay.
Nice. Doctor, please. Tom Dickinson. Tom, now we've got your question. Thank you, Tom, for your generosity. He says, hi guys, Lazy J is a 2-channel amp. Can I send my drives into one channel and send my delays to the other channel set for extra headroom?
If you mean a 2-channel in the way of a 4-input 2-channel type thing, you can do it.
We are going to do a show on this.
Yes, you just need to the signal that's going into the amp is very helpful if it's a low impedance signal, because it's got to drive the input going into the amplifier and then drive the cable going back into the delay and then back into then from out of the delay into the other channel. But you absolutely can do it. And people have done it for ages. It's a really interesting way to do it. Now, the issue that you might run into, because you were saying have one side set up cleaner, the distortion that you get from a Tweed style amplifier isn't the distortion from the preamp. I mean, is a bit, but it's the distortion from the signal of the preamp hitting the phase inverter, because that preamp runs ridiculously hot. And so if you've got that channel and you're getting a nice distortion from it, when you have the delay go back into the other side, it's still going to be distorted because that still mixes into the same phase inverter. You don't have two separate, it doesn't work like that. So it might not give you the sound that you want, but try it. It's not going to hurt.
Yep. We will do that video because Deluxe Reverb is capable of something similar. 4-input Marshalls, obviously. Tweeds, as you say. So I think these questions come up quite a bit. We'll do a show on it and get into it.
Yeah.
Dan's matchless.
Absolutely.
And just for clarification, those of you who have 2-channel amps in a channel switching format, i.e. clean channel, dirty channel. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about old school amps which have the 2 channels constantly active. So AC30, Tweed, Fender Tweeds, Dan's Matchless, a Bassman, 4 input Marshalls, that kind of thing.
Like this.
Dan is now showing you.
See the 4 inputs there? There you go. There you go. And there's your volume 1 and volume 2.
And they're always active.
Yeah.
Whereas in a channel switching amp, one of the channels gets turned off while the other one's on, or you bypass it. Matthew Dickin, hello Matthew. He says, any hope of a new Graham Coxon episode with his new board for the Blur reunion shows? Pretty please.
Yes. So was it 6 weeks ago or something? I was at his house doing a rig for him for another project, The Wave, that he's got with his new partner, and I said, "Can Mick and I come to a gig?" And he said, "Sure." So yeah, we could totally do that.
Cool.
It's not a new board. I still think he's using the old Mike Hill board, because it's all set up for those Blur tunes. Yeah, it's certainly possible. I just want to go and see Blur. Jeffrey White says, "Null Friday."
Hopefully,
We're trying.
it still hasn't been signed off. So I've chased, but you've got to be careful how hard you chase people like Noel.
And his people.
Yeah, we're hoping it will be this Friday.
Yeah.
James Penman and BV, thank you for this. He says, mind-boggling and amazing episode last week. Any recommendations for chord progression books for the less experienced? Those mentioned are sadly likely to dent confidence rather than inspire.
Oh,
Thank
interesting.
you. Yeah.
If I would say, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, but man, there's some really. I really like the True Fire courses and stuff. I think there's some really wonderful beginner, intermediate stuff, and the
Robin Ford
yeah, right,
has got a really nice one on chords on True Fire.
yeah,
And that's really about harmonising the major scale, which is where it all starts,
right.
isn't it?
Well, I don't know specifically about what Robin's doing on that course, but yeah, it all starts there, having some sort of. It's about understanding the purpose of the chords. What's the 1 chord doing? That's your home. What is the 2 or the 4 chord doing? It takes you away from the home. What's the 5 chord doing? Well, it's setting you up to return home.
But if you learn your major scale and the harmonies thereof, that will explain everything he's just said about 1, 4, 5,
Yeah,
and all of that.
all the stuff. I think. Yeah, people are saying chord chemistry from Ted Green. I mean,
Too hard.
it's really it's amazing, but it's like you need to know your stuff before you get into that. Yeah. Okay, here's what you do. Learn 6 songs. No, learn 3 songs. Learn 3 songs, start to finish, that have got some interesting chords in them, and work out what those chords are. But learn to play them start to finish. There's nothing like songs for actually learning chords.
This is the Robin Ford one I do. And I say I do, I've been working on it for a long time, and it's an extension of something that Joey Landreth explained to me.
Awesome.
It's called Robin Ford Chord Revolution, and he literally explains, he starts off by explaining triads,
Nice.
major, which helps you. I would that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, great.
Um,
Tim Chalmers also says Tim Pierce has a beginner course. So yeah, but that I think the all good.
yeah, but until you get that degrees of the major scale and the harmonies within. So, you know, what is a major third? What is a fourth? What is a fifth? What is... You can't do anything without that, can you? That's ground level,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. It's where you start diatonic harmony. It's what turns this into, you know, not the understanding that the twos are the 2 and 3 are minors and 4s, you know, blah blah blah. So
And how a chord is made.
yeah,
1, 3 and 5. And then 1, 3, 5 and 7.
yeah,
And then that's an arpeggio.
there you go. Yeah, so all the notes, but that's just an A chord. You know, it's still just an A chord. Yeah. That wasn't very helpful at all. But yeah, so do the Robin Ford thing. If he goes through that basic diatonic harmony stuff, then you're golden. You also get to listen to Robin Ford play guitar. So that works for me.
But I feel you, James. It's hard when it's like decoding anything that's complex and you get all the information at once. It's like, how do you pick that out? Where do you begin? And I totally sympathise with how hard it is to just find somewhere to start. So
Sure.
watch The Sound of Music, sing along with Maria. Is that her name? No. Is it her name?
I think so.
Do a deer, a female deer.
Have you seen all the Arnie
tropical
memes?
sun.
Did I show you that one? He's done.
That's the basis of all the harmony you need to know, by the way.
There's this new AI stuff, and they've AI'd Arnie into The Sound of Music. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
I'm so bored of AI.
Yeah.
It's all anyone's talking about.
Yeah. But this is funny.
And I know it's technology that's in all our consumer electronics and everything, and maybe more than that, but I'm just bored of it. Everyone thinks it's an answer. Pretty funny. Feed my bongos. Right, we're nearly there. It's nearly meat feast.
Okay, all right.
Feed my bongos. Hi D&M, thanks for all you do. I've just placed an order for an Eastman T59. Do you have any advice for someone getting to grips with their first humbucker semi-hollow guitar after years of Strats?
Oh, great question.
Yes. 1, turn the gain down. Definitely turn the gain down, because while all that gain is really good fun with humbuckers, or it can be, what you get is just a loss of playing dynamic, and it can get squashy and horrible. So start with the gain down a bit and just learn a little bit about how those pickups react. Strat's got like endless headroom. No matter how you hit it, how hard you hit it, it's just going to keep giving you back dynamics. Humbucker's much lower range of available dynamic headroom, until that is you get into the volume control. So the next thing is really experiment with those volume and tone controls. On a Strat, you might find, especially at low volume, when you turn down, all the love goes away, it gets a bit dull, it's a bit hard work, especially at low volume. High volume's a different thing, but in a low volume environment, what you'll find on a dual humbucker guitar with 4 controls is actually, even at low volume, there's a great deal to explore in the mid position, if it's 50s wide, which hopefully it is, if it's a decent Eastman, which it sounds like it might be. There's a lot to explore there in the voice of the guitar, with the volumes and tones rolled back a bit. But yeah, turn the gain down. You might find you need a bit less bass as well. And one thing that guitar will have acoustically, as well as electronically probably, is a good deal of resonance and sustain as you start to play it more. So you can just leave a bit more room in everything, because the guitar will do a bit more work for you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one thing I find with the 335. I feel like I can sit back on the guitar a lot more.
It does that thing at a lower sound pressure level that you get with a Strat at a higher sound pressure level.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, but do you actually, Dan's got a jazz box, but you don't really play semi-hollows that much?
No. I mean, I I do a bit, but I'm just trying to get the most out of a Telecaster, really, until the next 5 years at some point when Johnny makes me my archtop. Yeah, I am seriously thinking about putting the Charlie Christian pickup in.
In Butters?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think it'd be a good mod for that guitar.
Yeah.
Lots of people. Matt Rosen says, saw the Brothers Landreth in Philly on Saturday. Just Joey had not one, not two, but 3 two rocks on stage. It was truly religious. Well done, Joey. That's awesome.
Love him so much.
3 rock.
So good.
Awesome. Andrew R, penultimate question tonight. He says, mostly just want to say thank you for all the entertainment, but for a little fun, I've noticed that the high watt has been in the same spot for months. Is it because you like it that much, or is weight a factor? It's behind the subtext, sorry.
Trying to debow the table. We do like it that much. It's so lovely to have the high watt in the centre of the room as its rightful position.
It does feel fitting that
It
it's
does.
there. We don't play it as much as some of the other amps because we've yet to find a cab that it really loves.
We got one now.
I think it could be pretty good through that.
We got one now.
Secondly, it's got a really, really annoying transformer hum that does my nutting.
Yeah.
Or some kind of hum. So once I hopefully take it to Arv up at high watt now that they're back up and firing, or they are firing. Because there'll be all kinds of high watt discussions happening over the next year or two, I hope.
Yeah.
So maybe Arv can have a look at it for us and get rid of that hum. Because it's a glorious sounding thing, but it annoys the crap out of me.
I think it's just I think the caps need changing, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, the hum gets on my nerves. So that's why we don't use it more often.
Great.
We do like the amps to be quiet. Except when they're cranked and really loud, but that's a different thing. Richard Beardsley. Hello, Richard. And again, thanks to BV for filling this in. Richard Beardsley. Hi, Dan and Mick. Long-time fan. Any chance of an episode exploring different power sources? I have a Shredmaster from Marshall, and it sounds radically different when powered with batteries as opposed to a power supply.
Indeed. We can do that.
Does it really sound that different?
So it depends.
Depends on the supply.
It depends on the supply. It depends on if you look at. So there are things like, the old Boss ACA pedals, which are 9-volt pedals, but the power supply that you had to use with them was 12 volts because of the protection diode across it would drop down. It would drop the volts down. So everyone that's using these but isolated power supplies into the pedal, and the pedals are sounding really wimpy, it's because on the circuit's only getting like 6 volts. Whereas in the day when Boss released their daisy chain, if you daisy chain those up together, it would basically make the protection diode sort of null and void, and so the pedal would be getting its correct voltage. You might be getting an earth loop in there.
No way.
Yeah. So if you see on the back of a old vintage Boss pedal it says ACA.
ACA, yeah.
You need to be hitting that with 12 volts to make it sound properly.
And might that be a case in the?
I don't know, but possibly. There's all these things especially with the vintage pedals.
And if you use a 9-volt battery, then it's just getting 9 volts.
Exactly, because it's not looking at the protection diode. So all this stuff is all this stuff. I bloody love pedals.
I just got a Nigel flashback when you said exactly.
Exactly.
So
I'm a professional. I'll rise above it.
Why don't you just make 10 the loudest? Okay, friends, that be us. Thank you for being with us. It's always a lovely time to share together.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever be as wise as Tim Lurch, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a journey, Dan. It's not a competition.
No.
Hopefully this Friday will be Noel, and if it's not Noel, it'll be Dan chooses a new amp.
Yeah.
Dan's going from wet, dry, wet back to wet, dry, and those two amps behind us are there for a reason. He wants to start using the Sovtech, and I said, isn't that a bit like a JTM 45? He said, no, it's more like a Bassman. I was like, okay, in which case we need to compare the Sovtech with the JTM 45 with the Bassman, part one, and then whichever one you choose, we will hear it in your full rig.
Indeed.
How about that?
I love it.
The only thing is, we are going to be hearing those two amps in the same cab, because they can both be run at the relevant impedance. The Bassman, unfortunately, is 2 ohms, so we're going to have to hear that in its own cab.
That works.
I'm going to write my prediction down at the beginning of the video, which one you're going to like best.
Okay.
And you should too.
Okay.
And then we'll see.
I mean, what I was using on the experience day sounded pretty good. The problem is,
It sounded mega.
it sounded mega, and then you plug your rig in. I'm like, oh, back to square one.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, but I'm really happy with the way it sounded.
It sounded great.
It sounded great.
Actually, I mean, I'll stick my hand up and say I thought it sounded better than the
Other stuff.
wet, dry, wet
Yeah.
stuff. It was just more solid.
Yeah.
It was more kind of like,
Yeah.
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 If
Totally.
you were delivering a baby calf, you'd be straight into the elbow. As opposed to the others, I think was a bit like, is it coming out yet?
Right. Very good.
How about that? How about that? How about that? I've been watching too much Clarkson's Farm, I think. Right. Thank you for being with us, everyone. We'll see you Friday. And who knows? It's yet another bank holiday next Monday.
You're kidding.
No.
For what?
I rather think we'll probably do VCQ anyway. I've had enough days off.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a Tweed Bassman for anyone asking. Good. All right, and it's a 212 one. It's a complex story we'll tell next week. Okay. Thank you for being with us. Thank you very much to BV for moderalising. And yeah, play us out, Dan. Trying to find some more percussion.